What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. If you would like to listen live, join Will and John every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Time on IG Live at handle @WillNotFear. We take each IG episode and upload them straight to this podcast. So happy you're tuning in to Men Talking Mindfulness. Now, on to the show. John's coming on. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Men Talking Mindfulness. I'm Will. John McCaskill is coming on and joining us in a moment. My co-host. I'm in New York City. John, I believe, is in Colorado Springs. And here comes my mindful frogman right here. Oh, let's say what's up. Here he comes. So please, as we go through, hi Aaron, and stay on as long as you can. And we're going to talk about feelings today. And it should be an interesting discussion about men and their feelings. And here comes John. There he is. Hello.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good to see you.
You as well.
Yeah. You in Colorado Springs? I was just
I am.
Earbuds in. Yeah. So what's the latest? I'm sorry I keep asking about your house.
Still pressing forward on it. Got an appraisal. The appraisal came back at what we offered, so that's always a good thing. But yeah, still here in Colorado Springs. As a matter of fact, the background back there, and let me switch the camera around. I'm sitting on the ledge of a I won't call it a mountain, but a hill, doing this show with you because I was wrapped up. Behind me, there's a parking lot for this organization called the Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center, and they were doing a food giveaway where veterans and service members were giving away food to the local community. It's kind of cool gig. So I was just part of that, but I broke away to do the show because I love this show and I believe in what we're doing. So here I am, man.
Me too. So you're volunteering today? Yeah.
I am. Yeah. As a representative of Veterans Path, but yes, also a volunteer.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, good. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, what is that? I know we're going to talk about feelings today, but tell me what that feeling is like, And
actually, I hadn't really thought about it until you asked. It feels good, giving back. Veterans, a lot of the time, obviously, we're serving as service members, and then afterwards, a lot of the community is always thanking us for our service, and that's nice, and I appreciate that. But it's also an honor and a privilege to serve in the military, at least in my perspective. So this is another way for us to give back to those that we have served in a different capacity, and it feels good. It feels good. I feel proud to do it. I feel honored to do it, much like I felt proud and honored to serve as a service member. So yeah, I know those are some of the feelings that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see where we go.
I know, right? Do you want to take a moment and ground us? In
man.
Beautiful spot you're at right now. That's all right.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Again, like I always say, excuse the hat hair, man.
And that's the only thing I judge you on, John, is your fucking hat hair. It's really bad.
I feel so judged. That's what we're going to talk about today. Is how that feels. So anyway, yeah. As you feel comfortable, assume that position, whatever that looks like for you. And I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And if not, just kind of soften your gaze, soften your focus. And just bring your awareness to the here and now. Don't think about what was happening 5 minutes ago. Don't think about what's going to be happening in the next 20 minutes. Just bring your awareness to the very here, the very now, and what it is you're experiencing here and now. And the first thing I want you to do that, to focus your awareness, is just think about your breath and notice the actual sensation of your breath. Taking breaths in through your nose, and then letting them out slowly through your mouth. In through your nose, and out through your mouth. And one more. Nice deep in through your nose, and out through your mouth. Now, bring your awareness to what it is you're feeling emotionally in your body and how that is manifesting itself. Don't feel a need to change it. Don't feel a need to judge it. Just notice it and be with it, whether it's positive, whether it's neutral, whether it's not positive. Just be aware of that feeling and how it's manifesting itself. And bring that feeling forward into today's conversation. Feelings and emotions, they're part of being human. They're part of who we are as individuals. They're part of who we are as cultures and societies. They're not negative. They're just part of the human experience. And then bring your awareness back to your breath with 3 more cleansing breaths, deep in through your nose, out through your mouth. One more, deep in through your nose. Last one, deep in through your nose. And slowly out through your mouth. And then I invite you to bring some movement back into your body. Maybe rotate your head around, loosen up your neck. A lot of the time, the emotions that we start to be aware of do manifest themselves as tension in the neck and shoulders. So sometimes it's helpful to end the meditation with a little shoulder loosening, little neck loosening. And here we are. Let's talk about some emotions, some feelings.
Yeah.
Will.
Well, I know. Oh my God. All right, here. I feel like it's interesting. As soon as we say that, especially guy to guy, I feel like I need to change as a person. You know what I mean? Like light some fucking candles or something, you know? But
Yep.
I think what you brought, I think it'd be good to start, John, by what you said in the meditation about like there's no good or bad, they're just neutral. They're just feelings. It's part of our
Yeah.
experience. And when we start judging ourselves around how we're feeling, that's when we get into a lot of trouble.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get into this, but you know, the Brene Brown stories that we tell ourselves. But
Yeah.
the stories that we tell ourselves are these emotions are negative. These emotions that we're experiencing have we need to hide them. And I mean, what emotions are there? There's I mean, an infinite number of emotions, but I mean, just a handful of emotions that we can think off the top of our heads. You know, happiness, love, sadness, fear, pain, anger, you know,
Frustration.
frustration.
Sensitivity.
Yeah. I mean, and just running through that list, I mean, even putting some of them out there, you know, I feel a little funny saying them. Like, okay, I'm a man. Am I supposed to feel sensitive? Am I supposed to feel ashamed? Am I supposed to feel love? those types of things. And as a man, why can I not experience those? What is it that society, especially in Western culture, has defined as right and wrong for a man to feel?
And
yeah, go ahead.
Go. I like, interesting how you framed it. You said, how am I supposed to feel? So instead of like having your own experience, having John's experience, having Will's own experience, like we put ourselves or we attach ourselves to some sort of framework or some sort of box, or like I heard a speaker a long time ago or a while ago talking about the man box, you know, and there's only certain, emotions like, anger, frustration, aggression, rage, toughness, that are rewarded, and that are part of that man box, and that's how we're like supposed to be, so instead of being ourselves, with whatever, like, I'm a sensitive guy, but like whether you're a sensitive being or more empathetic to other people, or or just like are in touch with your feelings, not allowed to express them, or the unwillingness to express them because of how we're supposed to be, it brings us it creates a lot of trouble for us.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it creates shame and guilt. That the irony there is that sometimes the feelings that we are feeling are shame and guilt, and then that causes further shame and guilt. The fact that we're feeling those, the fact that we're sad, the fact that the fact that we're crying, the fact that we're hurt. We discussed a little bit yesterday in growing up, how a man internalizes a relationship with his significant other, and then how that is expressed completely differently to your boys, right? How you and I both talked about a breakup that we had when we were young. When I was, I don't know, 15 or 16, I had my first breakup, and I thought it was the end of the world. And I went home. And I cried to my mom, and I was sad. I mean, it was a sad time in my life. And I mean, I was completely head over heels in love with this girl, and she broke my heart. And that broken heart manifested itself in crying, in being down when I was around my family. But when I was around my boys, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. I got this.
Fuck that bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, man.
Which is, completely asinine to think that way. But that's kind of just the term that we used yesterday, was false bravado. False bravado. It's hey, we kind of go back to our caveman ways. We beat our chests. And we look for the next victim of our man cave club, right? Hey, who else are we going to beat up? Whether it's a man or a woman, and carry on with this beating of our chest. Look what I've conquered today. So and in modern society, that's not where we are, right? I mean, we've evolved since then. So why are we still acting the same ways as we did when we were cavemen?
It's like not even cavemen, yes, but there's also this feeling. What you're talking about is like this tribalism amongst men, and it's like, and with tribalism, there's a certain set of values, there's a certain code of conduct, and like like you said, really being brokenhearted to your mom and your family, and then going out to your friends, going in the tribe, outside of the house, and just like, it's all right, man. There'll be more girls, or like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I'm fine. On the inside, you're just devastated.
Right. Exactly.
And the sad part is, us, especially at that age, and there's such important years, for us to I mean, even at 15, especially when our hormones start coming our way, and they really start raging, and we really start changing who we are as people.
Right.
And then at the same time, like learning, you know, because at that age, like think we're trying, like we're going out there, we're like, oh, I'm attracted to this person, and I want to hang out with them, and you know, this is working, and it doesn't work, and it's like, oh, like what do I do with these feelings that are coming up? And uh, I just it's just interesting, like how it comes to us at such a young age, and then here we are in our 40s, and like even when I was in my 30s, and I'm sure you in some ways too, it's like you start to be like look a little bit deeper, and it's just like, oh, like why am I this aggression and frustration and anger and this false bravado? You know, it doesn't. It only gives me like so much. It only shows me so much of my potential. Only
Right.
shows me so much of who I can be when I'm
Yeah.
really being honest with myself. But go ahead, yeah.
And it takes work, man. It takes work to
Oh,
put on that show, right? You're putting on an act.
yeah,
Whether
yeah,
it's, whether it's you're hiding a heartbreak or hiding shame or hiding fear, it takes a lot of work and energy to put on this act to hide these feelings rather than it, one, being with those feelings,
yeah.
even and acknowledging those feelings, and then
Right,
two,
right.
expressing those feelings, letting those feelings out, expressing those feelings. That's what life is about. Feeling those feelings.
Yeah,
That's what life
yeah,
is about.
yeah.
And then once you kind of experience them and you let them go, you move on. But if you continually put up this facade
Right,
of who you are, that takes work, one, and then sooner or later those feelings are going to come out, whether that sadness manifests as anger or rage,
yeah,
or
yeah,
you take some type of action, or years down the road, these feelings that you haven't processed, they come out as sadness, depression, anxiety, stress. So
mm,
it's
mm,
it's it's not worth the work
yeah,
that it takes to wear this mask
right.
of masculinity. I mean, okay, let me make sure I'm clarified this.
I'm listening, man. No
Yeah,
worries.
so I'm not against masculinity. I feel that I'm a masculine man, but I can still be okay expressing my feelings, feeling those
Right.
feelings, and I am not for being overly dramatic
No.
and looking for attention and saying, look, oh, woe is me, cry me a river. But I am there for expressing your feelings in a way that's appropriate for what has happened to you. And even that term sounds terrible. What is appropriate? I mean, that's all subjective too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but what isn't appropriate is your your man box, right? Your what you can only experience anger, you can only experience rage, you can only experience um, you know joy. You can't experience sadness, you can't experience any type of sensitivity or
right.
show any type of sensitivity. That man box is not appropriate for life,
Yeah,
especially in the modern age. And when I say modern age, I mean within the last 1,000 years. I mean,
yeah,
we have not been running around with our caveman bat or whatever for millions of years.
hmm
And why are we still doing that? Obviously not in the real sense, but we still act that same way sometimes. And it's yeah, we can be better if we experience those feelings um, internally and then express what those feelings are to others, whether it's to our friends, whether it's to our family, or
yeah,
whether it's just in a journal. I mean, I know you're a big journaling fan.
yeah, yeah.
Journaling's huge, and that's expressing your feelings. And
Well,
that
I
that
I
can be,
got I got to journaling. Sorry, I got to journaling because of heartbreak. I was
yeah,
fucking devastated. Another relationship. I was 27 at this time, and I know I feel like I keep getting my heart broken, huh? I mean,
hey,
so here I am. It's like, and I was really into this girl. Like, I got to thank her today because if it wasn't for that experience, and I was just in a whole nother, another direction in my life at that point, and she shattered what I thought or where I thought I was or what I thought I was going to be doing with my life and my time, and I was just so devastated and so emotionally wrought or just so raw or just, I mean, everything just shattered. And in order to put myself back together, I started journaling about, they call the Julia Cameron's great book, and I really suggest anybody that's checking this out now or later, The Artist's Way. was an incredible book that really helped me understand my creativity. In order to really be a creative person, you have to be with all of it. You have to be not with just the man box feelings. You need to be with every fucking thing. And one of the ways that she helped me get in touch with my feelings, and I was already a pretty emotionally aware guy, like I in a lot of ways, but still, like, I still had those man box kind of, the bravado bullshit. And but she had the morning pages, which is like, it could be interpreted two ways. Morning meaning you do them in the morning when you do, but mourning meaning like mourning a loss. Yes, exactly. So and she said, just fucking throw everything in these pages, everything. And like at the first, I remember the first couple months and I would write 3 pages, stream of thought every day I did it for years. And now I'm back doing it again during COVID. I just threw everything in. I was like, oh, that fucking girl, like, oh, I can't believe I feel this way. And just writing and just writing all this, like, oh, this anger and all this frustration was coming out. And then going week by week and her guiding me through her lesson, which is like a 12-week course, all of a sudden, all sorts of other things started to come out. And I started to see and experience myself in a different way. Because like I was in this, on the pages, I was allowed to express myself. I was allowed to dive in and like kind of shine a flashlight on feelings that maybe were only kind of a blip on the radar before, I threw some like man box code on top or something like that, it's really, and now, like, what I'm doing, teaching and writing and helping so many people in a lot of different ways, I'm understanding that it's like when I am vulnerable, when I am just expressing how I'm feeling in that moment, like that's when I get the biggest response. And I'm not even trying for the response. I'm just like, here I am. Yeah. And it's really interesting to see, I put actually a vlog yesterday. I just woke up in a certain kind of state of mind and I did this vulnerability blog. Never did anything like this before. And the response has been ridiculous. Like I got like 30 comments and people saying, thank you. And thank you for showing vulnerability. It just takes a lot of courage. And, let me ask you, John, unless you want to follow up with something, but I have a good question I would like to ask, but if you have a follow up on what I said, or we can go into it.
I did have a follow up, but I lost it. I was trying to very much pay attention to what it was you were speaking about. And I was like, okay, put that over to the side, pay attention. No, it's all good. I love what you're saying there. And the man box, come back to the man box. I love that expression, by the way.
Yeah, I'll share that video with you, and I'll put it on the feed, because a really good talk about like being it's like that whole idea of that. I like also, I mean, it's really harsh words, but that toxic masculinity is another way to think about that man box. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like the shit that literally is toxic to our being, to our full potential, to who we are as not just men, but like to who we can be as men with the wiring that we have because of, like how we're, raised, or not raised, but just being a man in this world.
Yeah. So I remember what my follow-up was there. You mentioned authenticity and by expressing your feelings and what's inside, kind of allowing that to bubble to the surface, you're being more authentic. And we have talked about how authentic is truth, right? Authentic is what resonates with people. Authentic is what ties us together, and it strengthens our relationships. I mean, if you're authentic with your friends, if you're authentic with your family, if you're authentic with your coworkers or your social media followers, if you're authentic, then that's how you're going to relate to them. Whereas if you're wearing this face the whole time, wearing this mask, they're not going to see the real you. They're not going to relate to the real you. You're not going to connect with people that you want to connect with, at least not on the level that you want to. You're going to connect with people that want to connect with the fake you. And is that the people that you want to surround yourself with? No, of course not.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, I had a conversation yesterday with a guy named James Corbett, who has founded this group called Project Refit. It's another veteran specific group, but it's basically where veterans get together on 3 times a week on a Zoom call, and they share their feelings about, transition, share their military transition, share their feelings about divorce, share their feelings about the relationships that they're going through, share their feelings about their first time in combat, and maybe taking a life and what that feels like. And right, and I was like, wow, that's really deep. And he's like, yeah, it's the authenticity that is really there, because people are allowed to be their authentic selves, and that resonates with the community, the rest of the people that are on that Zoom call. And that's spot on with what we're discussing right now. I mean, in my time in the SEAL teams, I never sat around with my guys and said, hey, first time in combat was freaking scary. I have never personally taken a life with my weapon. I've pulled the trigger. I don't know that I took any lives, but
Wow.
I still pulled the trigger with the intent to take lives. I've had bombs dropped on people. I called those bombs in, and that still is there with me. And I've never gotten together with a group of veterans and expressed those feelings until like now. I've started doing it with friends. I've started doing it with family. I've started doing it with therapists, and even the meditation, coming full circle to what we kind of started this whole Men Talking Mindfulness about, is mindfulness and meditation. That helped some of those feelings bubble to the surface that I had suppressed because of that man box. So that man box kind of has two meanings in my mind. It's the feelings that you should experience, or that you're allowed to express as a man, but there's also that other man box, that all those other feelings that you get, and you're like, okay, well, I've got to put those in another box and hide it away and not deal with it. So anyway, the authenticity piece really resonated with me, is that when you are authentic, both with yourself and with those that you surround yourself with, you're going to live a happier life. You're going to, life is going to be easier. Coming back to that whole putting on a face mask is not our COVID-19 face mask, but our facades. That takes work and energy, and it's fake, man. So that's what I had to say about that.
No, and also, just to double up on authenticity, it flows both ways. Like if I'm showing up, like I've seen this in, the work I've done in corporations, I show up really big, exuberant, joyful, like really want to help people. Like here I am, like I'm prepared, I'm excited. And all of a sudden, like when I come from that authentic place and that place of like enthusiasm, they rise to my level. They start being more authentic with me, and we're able to kind of dive in and have a meaningful time together. Yeah. Because like we're like, cause it's just like, you're just, it's just, it's just really who I am, like really trying to be authentic in every single situation. And it's awesome to just see or experience people waking up to their own or like it's being okay to be yourself, know? And so I like that authenticity, definitely. You can see what you're talking about when in these little groups that you're talking about with the veterans, as soon as someone has the courage, step up and be like, this is what happened, and really being raw and authentic about it and vulnerable. Other men, we start, instead of like the light being dim, and or being hidden in that man box, it like, boom, the light bulbs pop up, and we're able to really illuminate each other in so many ways, because of the willingness of one or just a few people to really lead with courage. One thing, since we're talking about courage, like I really I was watching a little bit of Brene Brown, and she talked about courage and how it requires a tremendous amount of courage to really be with your feelings and be with other people when they're with their feelings and being authentic. And that's like, and you think about it, when we think about a warrior, we think about like a successful man, or we think about like masculinity at the highest point, we think of courage. But what's interesting about courage is it comes, the root of courage comes from the French and Latin word, which is cœur, which means heart. And if we're in that heart space, right, that's when all of our emotions, and that's when all of our vulnerability and authenticity is streaming out of us.
Right.
And that's where courage, or real courage, or what every courage that I have experienced in my own life, but also courage in other people. I'm like I'm thinking of Wim Hof right now, the Iceman, and I'm like, fuck, man. I mean, he's older than us. He's like 61 right now, but you talk about courage. But I was with him in Spain for many, many days, and he just is so open and so loving and so with all of it, and just so joyful, but able to have a very deep discussion with you because he suffered in his life in so many different ways, and all that suffering brought him to where he is because he was willing, to face those feelings, to go through instead of, shoving them back in the closet, in the dark mat, whatever, in the deep dark back. He's able to face it and look at them, and the only way out is through, right? The only way out is through. I'll say it again, because that's when you develop the real toughness and the real resilience that it takes to stand in your own power and to live in your true potential.
Right.
What was it? So John, let me, when did it start to turn over for you? I mean, I can imagine going into the military and then going into, the buds. I'm studying SEALs, so I know I'm getting used to the words, right? So, when did you start to realize to become the man who you are, not just a commander and a SEAL, but also a father of two, a great husband? When did you start to realize my full emotional spectrum is important?
Yeah. I would say not until probably the past 4 or 5 years.
Great.
Well, no. I would take it back to maybe 2013, 2014. I got remarried. I'm on my second marriage in 2014, and traveled then to Nepal, and we did a mission, a church mission in the mountains there in Nepal, up in the Himalayas. And
that must have been incredible to be in Nepal.
It was fantastic, man. I've done some pretty cool things in life, but I would say that's probably one of the top 5 right there. But even within that top 5, that narrowing it down to a specific experience there in Nepal. We're in a small village called Gatlong on the side of a mountain, and we had finished the mission. It was a church and medical mission, and I may have told you about this before, but I showed up. Everybody else is a doctor, a PA, a nurse, a dentist, all these health practitioners, and here I am, a military guy,
a warrior.
They're like, so what is it that you do? I'm like, well, I'm a Navy SEAL. And they're like, oh, okay, well, so you're not afraid of blood, so we'll put you with the dentist. And so in my mind, I'm so naive. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm with a dentist. I'm going to be doing cleanings and filling. I don't know what I thought I was going to be doing, but we hike. We take this freaking 10-hour drive from Kathmandu into the mountains. We go to one village called Nessing, and the dentist unrolls all his, what I was like, oh, are those your tools? He's like, I don't call them tools. They're called instruments. I was like, oh,
excuse me.
Yeah. I was like, I'm an idiot. So anyway, those are my tools. And there's no tooth polishing stuff. It's all wrenches and syringes. And I'm like, what exactly are we going to be doing? And he's like, oh, we're going to be pulling out rotten teeth. And I'm like, so we're not going to be doing any fillings. He's like, you can't do fillings here in the mountains in Nepal. So we're just going to, if they have cavities, we're yanking those teeth. So I can't demonstrate here because we just got a little square screen, but I'm sitting there on a basket upside down. The patient, if you will, is sitting on another basket in front of me, and then they lean back and they put their head in my lap, and I'm like, I inject them with this whatever it was, Novocaine, or I forget what it was, but I injected them with something to numb their teeth, and then I literally get in there with a wrench and I yank them out. I mean, the tool is not called a wrench, or the instrument is not called a wrench, but in my mind, it looks like a wrench.
It's a goddamn
like,
wrench to a man.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, my man box. So I'm yanking these teeth out, and then at the end of the day, after doing so many hours of doing that, my back was hurt, my body was hurting, and then we would do a spiritual lesson with these people that we worked with through the rest of the day. Long story, but I'm getting to a point here. So at the end of it all, my wife and I had just gotten married before we got there. We had eloped, and that was an awesome experience in and of itself. Like super personal, super private. We were able to express our feelings, cry as we're getting married. It was basically the pastor, a witness, and the two of us. Nobody else.
This is your current wife. This is your current wife.
This is my current wife. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So we go after that. We're like, hey, we didn't say our vows at our wedding. We said yes, I do, that type of stuff, but we didn't say what each one of us was going to do in the marriage. So at the end of this Nepal mission trip, Becca, my wife, she's like, hey, let's go up and clean ourselves in the river, because that's what you do. Is there's this mountain river, freezing cold water. You don't get naked. It's just down to your shorts. Yeah. So we go up to this mountain. There's nobody else out there, freezing cold. And I'm like, crap, what are my vows? And luckily I had them written down, but I'm like, really, I wanted to internalize those and really take them forward in my marriage. I'm really glad you asked this question, because I've never really thought about it this much before. So forgive me for rambling on.
No, you're not at all, John. I love the story, man. No, I love it.
I'm sitting. That's hilarious. I'm sitting here asking for forgiveness for expressing my feelings while we're talking about.
There you go. Fucking, that's exactly it, John. Yeah, I mean, you know what? We'll get back. Finish your story. We'll come back to that. But that's beautiful.
So we're there in the stream, small little pool in the stream. Say our vows, washed each other's feet, kind of as Jesus had washed the feet of his apostles, and we committed to one another. And that's when I really, I think, started feeling the emotions, but not only feeling them, but expressing them. Because I'd felt these emotions before. I'd felt emotions. I mean, you always feel the emotions, but expressing them without shame, feeling them without shame was that was a new experience for me. So coming full circle again, I admit that I was feeling a little shameful even in sharing that story. So that's the society we live in, and why is it that way? It shouldn't be. And
what is it like going? So since that moment in 2014, how have you seen yourself be more willing to express yourself, and your feelings in other situations outside your relationship with your wife?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's really been there in all my relationships. Soon after that, I went and deployed to Bahrain for a year, and I was in a leadership position there. And one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago was the difference between empathy and compassion. Well, I had to be compassionate with those that I was leading, and I wasn't able to be compassionate if I wasn't able to express those feelings. Because what's the difference between empathy and compassion is that desire to do something about it, desire to help. Well, you can't express that desire to help if you don't express the feelings, right? So I think that was a piece. So it was there at work. Then I came home, and 2017 we had our little girl. And that just blew me away, knocked me on my feet. I'm like, okay, yeah, life is about more than John McCaskill. It's about so much else. And my little girl is right there teaching me lessons. I don't know. I was 40 years old. Sorry. 40 years old at the time.
That's okay.
And that's, again, another awakening, if you will, of my feelings and how I express my emotions. And I can express my emotions, both the happy and, hey, I'm a tough guy. I can beat my chest. I can go to the weight room and throw around some weight and still shoot guns and be tough. But I can also, at the same time, hold my daughter and, feed her a bottle of milk and listen to her breathing and like experience that and be like, holy shit. This is life. This is a miracle that I'm holding right here in my arms, and feel that emotion and not feel guilty about feeling it. I think, what about yourself, man? Flip the coin on you.
Well, I mean, well, no, I think what I talked about earlier, or what that when at age 27, that breakup is when, I really started getting in touch with my feelings. And then and then I was an actor for like 12 years, and it's all about getting raw and getting real with yourself. Like,
Sure.
so all the acting training and, just even the courage it fucking takes to stand up on audition, and then like after the audition, not getting the job or getting the job. And I was always and like in that kind of vein, and also, as a mindfulness and meditation and yoga teacher, a lot of my students have been women. So I've been in a lot of like, groups with like maybe me, two other guys, and like 20 women. And, women are just so allowed, again, to express themselves emotionally. And I noticed when I would just jump right in. It was just kind of that authenticity, or just kind of going with the flow. And I started talking about more of my feelings and getting to know more of my feelings. And, but it was definitely that breakup that really, it kind of, I don't know if I had how much of that bravado I had, because I was always able to sit with another person, another woman, another man, and be like, "What's up? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And kind of get real in that situation. Thankfully, I mean, I was just kind of gifted in that way, or like also I was brought up with a mother that allowed me to have my feelings, but a father that my parents have been married almost 55 years, and my mother to this day has never seen my dad cry.
Wow.
I mean, and he holds, I just talked to him before the call. Great guy. I mean, he loves me to death. I love him. Like, but also because it's just like my dad only knows like anger, frustration, only expresses anger, frustration, joy, excitement about certain things. But sadly, and this hurts me to say this because my dad's a lovely man. It only allows our relationship to go to a certain level.
Sure.
I can't, like, what's that? Yeah. That's hard for me.
And that has
It's hard.
to hurt. Yeah.
It does hurt a lot.
Yeah.
It
And
does.
I'm sure it hurts him,
Yeah.
and you know what, the era that he grew up in, what was his dad
Right.
like, or what were men in general like at that time? What was acceptable then? I mean, I think we have, I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that we haven't evolved. I think in the last like 50 years, we have evolved quite a bit in what has been acceptable. I mean, the men in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was not acceptable to do a lot of that. Crying as a man, no way.
No way.
And for him to carry that forward with his relationship with you, I'm sure that there's a void, a connection there that could have been deeper, more authentic, coming back to the authenticity than what you experienced. And I'm sure, like you said, you love him. I love my dad. My dad, he's my hero. Both my parents are my heroes. My dad was never a chest beater, super tough, like macho guy, but he also wouldn't express his emotions openly. If he was angry or sad, he was kind of passive aggressive. He would leave.
Right.
Like leave the situation, leave for a day, leave for a couple hours, and then come back. And we never really truly experienced him being vulnerable, being sad, and being open about it. And we certainly never had him talk to us about his feelings.
That's what I was going to say about my dad. He wouldn't even know how to really ask the question. I don't think my dad ever really asked me how I'm feeling. After all like the sports that I played and all my accomplishment in sports and my failures in sports, failures in life, I really can't remember my dad saying like, "How you feeling?" Or especially a game where I had a terrible game. It's like, "How you feeling?" It would always be like, like he'll tell me how I fucked up, which is like, I know I fucked up, Dad, and then it'll be like, well, we'll have to do these things before the next game, so we're successful in the next game. Like always, like I think that's also part of that linearity of masculinity that doesn't allow us to kind of like the way that I've gained I did this divine feminine training. So I really want to get touch more in my feminine side, like not to be more feminine,
No, I get it.
but just to get in touch, right? Because we have
Yeah.
like, we're masculine and feminine both.
Yeah, the yin and yang.
Yeah, yin and yang, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot where I was gonna go with that. I can't remember what I was just saying. It was
Your
gonna be good.
father, your father, and being in touch.
Oh
and
yeah,
being able to express.
Right, men, we're very linear. Like we just want to get to the solution. We
Yeah.
just want to like, what's the problem? How do we get to the solution? Boom, it's like A to B. Maybe there's a C or a D involved before we go, whatever. But like, so we defined, masculinity as linear, whereas the feminine energy is more circular. They're more like communal based, right? And that's where like kind of the feelings are. The feelings just kind of move around and swirl, whereas like our thinking as men and our actions as men, and usually the feelings that we only are supposed to and allowed to express from the man box are all linear emotions, or like or emotions that drive that linearity, and
Totally.
And I think before we close, I think what's really important to come back to mindfulness is meditation has always been a giant asset, allowing me to observe my emotions, to observe.
For
I mean,
sure.
sometimes I might not even know what it is that I'm exactly feeling, but just to sit with whatever that feeling is and kind of distance myself from it, but also become more aware of it when it comes up again. Then maybe I don't even need to do anything about it. Maybe or what doing something about it is just to sit with it and just be with it, and not question it or not hate it and not try to push it away. And that's what and the meditation has like just, it's made me so much sensitive or just more of an empath to myself, right, and everything around me, and just being really able to feel people on this very real level, and then making a choice like maybe I should step in and help, or maybe they just need to be with their own self right now, and I'll check with them later, or just give them a little like fist bump or like a handshake or a hug, and just even to know that somebody is there with you is sometimes the greatest gift of it all ever.
Absolutely it is. And I know we're coming to the end of the show here, but heck, we could talk for weeks about these, and heck, maybe that's what we do is we take this conversation and dissect it down into some of the emotions that are viewed as negative, and how you can actually use those emotions, express them in a healthy way, how you can go to your friends, your family, and use them as that rock. I think, man, I think this is just the start of a series here. So a sub-series of Men Talking Mindfulness.
Yeah, we're going to talk about feelings, and we didn't get to any questions or anything from anybody today, but as when I post this, please let us know what you'd like to hear from us. Like we're gonna our plan is to actually start dissecting more emotions, and I think we're gonna start, I don't know what next week where we'll start, but I think one that might be definitely in the top 3 or something like that is anger, because that's definitely like it's like if you're angry you're like masculine, like rah, let's fucking tear shit up or something. And then taking a little look at that, and what it is, what it looks like, what it does to us, how to change that how to change those feelings into something that's productive and more accessing your potential. So we'll see.
I'm laughing right now because I don't know if you caught, but I dropped off camera there for a second because I hit the time limit for my Instagram use for the day.
Shit. Okay.
which is
good for you.
The whole thing that we've talked about with digital minimalism and digital distractions. Well, that was one of the things I took last week, is I set a time limit on my Instagram, not thinking that it would bite us in the butt during middle of our mindfulness.
You're still on, so why don't I'll just do a short little meditation, and then we'll close, John. But thanks again. This has been been awesome.
Always.
So find that seat or make a comfortable space. Yeah, so sit up tall though. Try to really open up that chest. That's where we're going to find that heart space. Again, courage is from the heart. So what if you just actually, instead of collapsing your heart back, right? Like as we kind of mash potato over our technology, can you like open up that heart and draw your shoulders over top of your hips? And with that chest open and your heart expansive and more available, right? Let's breathe into that space. And let's just go soft in and out through the nose, right? But let's take a big breath into the nose. And a nice exhale out the nose. And just a few more. Let that go. One more calm, soothing, big, giant breath. That's it. Let it go. Let's actually put our hands over top of our heart. So, left hand bottom, right hand top. And just by calming yourself down with more breathing and continue accessing your breath. And once you become more grounded, you can really feel yourself more here and now and not distracted by thoughts or sensations. What is like the most prominent feeling that you're having right now? No judgment. It could be something that kind of pulls you down. It could be something that lifts you up. It could be something like more neutral. But this is where it starts, getting in touch with our feelings and slowing the pace of our life and our mind down and really sitting and breathing and being with ourselves. Just taking a little time every day to tap in just like this. Or, if you're feeling a tremendous amount of emotion because you're going to do something that is activating you emotionally, what if you just stop and breathe and just know it's okay what you're feeling? If we try to push those feelings away, we're in a battle that we're never going to fucking win. But embracing where we are. This is where we can really start to utilize our emotions to our advantage, or at least get to know them. Okay. Good breath in. And just an exhale out the nose. There we go. 2 more of those. Inhale, bigger, inhale, inhale, inhale. Let it go out. And just feel yourself ground out through the mouth and through the nose. Your choice, right? And 1 more of those. Inhale, feeling that heart space, that courage to be in that heart space, and let it go. Good. You can open your eyes when you're ready. And I always feel joyful after these conversations, John. So
as do I, brother.
Thank you for this. And we'll be back next week. And please bring your questions. Or we appreciate the comments that we're getting. And what really keeps us, or actually being more engaging for our conversations, are like, what would you like to hear as far as like around this emotions or the man box or the toxic masculinity, or even, I would love to even share someone else's story about their journey to their emotions, or the journey the difficulties you're having accessing your emotions. And that's John and I would really love to help, because I feel like where we are as men and where we are in our life, it's time to give back and open the world up. So,
amen, brother. Thanks again for the time and space. And until next week.
Same. Thank you so much, John. And enjoy yourself out there. And hey, thanks for volunteering for those folks in Colorado Springs. That's really nice.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, John. Peace. Bye. Thanks, guys, for showing up, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.